Imagine the heart of American power, Washington, D.C., where once the hustle of government employees filled the streets, now stands in an almost surreal quietude. This isn't a scene from a dystopian film, it's the new reality of downtown D.C. in the era of remote work. Before the pandemic, D.C.'s rhythm was set by the federal government, its largest employer. The city thrived on a bustling ecosystem of government offices, contractors, and ancillary businesses. Its vibrant culture, shaped by a diverse workforce, was more than just a political hub. It was a live, dynamic tapestry of American life. But the pandemic's push towards remote work has turned this once lively cityscape into a quiet expanse. For a city whose pulse was tightly synced with the federal workforce, this shift isn't just a change in work dynamics, it's a profound transformation of its economic and social fabric. Let's explore this extraordinary metamorphosis of downtown Washington, D.C., and decipher what it means for the future of work and urban life in a city powered by government work. But before we continue, click that like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. This channel will keep you updated on the most intriguing videos on economic topics around the world. Data paints a clear picture. Before the pandemic, office occupancy in downtown DC was among the highest in the nation, often exceeding 95%. Today, it hovers around 50% or less. Although commercial businesses have seen an upsurge in occupancy rates, the pace at which federal government employees are returning to offices is notably slower. As of September, the rate of employees returning to non-federal office buildings stood at 62%, in contrast to only 33% in the federal buildings monitored, despite increasing pressure on agencies to return to the office. The role of the district as the primary hub for the federal government introduces significant uncertainties when contemplating the city's future. The lack of precise data on the current proportion of federal office workers physically present in office compared to pre-pandemic times, along with the effects of many cafeterias in federally owned buildings, complicates a clear understanding of the repercussions that extensive remote working by federal employees might have on downtown DC and the broader DC area. Despite these uncertainties, the influence of the federal government on both downtown DC and DC as a whole is undeniably significant. Approximately 32% of the district's office space, around 65 million square feet, is occupied or leased by federal entities such as the General Services Administration, Congress, and various independent agencies. Moreover, federal civilian workers constitute about 25% of the district's workforce, accounting for roughly 194,000 employees. In downtown DC specifically, the federal government's presence encompasses 26% of the office space and 32% of employment. Another data point to gauge DC's downtown economy is public transportation. Historically, Metro has been central to the functioning of downtown DC. However, the pandemic, coupled with the 2021 derailment of the 7000 series railcars, shifted DC's residents, workers, and visitors' dependence towards bicycles and scooters. The year 2022 witnessed robust rentals of bikes and scooters across various systems in the city, indicating a strong demand for diverse, flexible micromobility options. Throughout 2022, there was a steady increase in Metro rail usage, with a 66% rise in average daily exits compared to 2021's ridership figures. While current ridership remains around half of what it was before the pandemic, it continues to grow in 2023. The proportion of passengers using metro stations in downtown DC on weekends was lower in 2021 at 11% compared to the pre-pandemic level of 14%. However, in 2022, downtown metro stations accounted for approximately 13% of the total system-wide weekday ridership. So how has this prolonged remote work impacted the restaurant, retail, and hotel industries? The office, food and beverage, and standout shopping industries are at 67% of pre-pandemic levels, while hotel occupancy, destination restaurants, and luxury shopping have returned to pre-pandemic levels. The key point to take away from this is that businesses that heavily rely on weekday office workers have taken a big hit, while businesses that don't rely on this foot traffic have returned to pre-pandemic levels. This shift isn't just about empty offices and quiet streets, it's a ripple effect that touches every aspect of the local economy. Real estate values are in flux, with commercial spaces struggling to find tenants. City revenues, heavily reliant on business taxes, are facing a downturn. In 2022 and the 3 quarters of 2023, the office markets in downtown DC and DC as a whole experienced a significant downturn, reaching their lowest levels of performance in many years. This decline can be attributed to a confluence of challenging factors. Subpar operating performance in the office market, characterized by unprecedented vacancy rates nearing 20.3%. A record level of vacant office space in DC, totaling around 25 million square feet and continuing to rise, a decrease in the amount of office space leased by the federal government, negative office space absorption of about 225,000 square feet, meaning more office space was vacated than occupied during this period, record high concessions being offered to rent office space. Now that we have covered some of the major economic indicators in DC that have been directly impacted by the high percentage of remote work, another pressing issue in the district is crime and homelessness. In the years following the pandemic, there's been a noticeable fluctuation in crime rates, with a rise in certain types of criminal activities. As the end of October 2023, violent crimes including homicides, sexual abuse, assault with a dangerous weapon, and robberies have skyrocketed by about 41%. This includes 230 homicides in comparison to 175 at the same time last year, and a 70% increase in robberies. Property crimes have increased by 25%, more notably, car thefts have been more than doubled so far this year. Overall, DC crime has risen by 27% between 2022 and 2023. These statistics raise questions about the correlation between the reduced physical presence in office spaces and rising crime rates. With fewer people on the streets during business hours, some argue that opportunities for petty crimes like theft or burglary have increased. However, this is only one piece of a complex puzzle, as crime rates are influenced by a myriad of factors, including economic conditions, policing strategies, and social services. The decrease in day-to-day office commuters has brought the city's homelessness crisis into sharper focus. The streets that once teemed with professionals rushing to and from work now reveal the stark realities of those without shelter. Following a trend of decreasing homeless count numbers in recent years, the data from 2023 revealed an 11.6% rise in overall homelessness compared to 2022. This includes a 10.2% increase in homelessness among unaccompanied individuals and a 12.1% rise among families. However, it's important to note that the 2023 count still registers lower than the figures from 2020, which was the last count before the COVID-19 public health emergency. In fact, before the onset of the public health emergency, there has been a nearly 23% decrease in overall homelessness and an almost 50% reduction in family homelessness. This indicates that the district has successfully navigated the public health emergency, resulting in fewer people experiencing homelessness now than before the public health emergency. Although there has been an increase in homelessness among single unaccompanied adults, the district has achieved a significant 50% rise in the numbers of individuals transitioning into permanent housing. Furthermore, the data underscores the ongoing effectiveness of Homeward DC 2.0, the strategic plan of the District of Columbia aimed at making homelessness a rare, brief, and non-recurring occurrence. While there has been an uptick in family homelessness, the numbers remain relatively low overall. The increase of 40 families is largely attributed to deliberate strategic investments, including enhanced services for populations that are typically harder to reach or less visible in the system, such as domestic violence survivors. The visibility of homelessness in downtown areas could be partially attributed to the reduced foot traffic and emptier spaces, making the issue more apparent than in pre-pandemic times. Local organizations and government agencies are grappling with providing adequate support and services, especially considering the health risks and economic hardships exacerbated by the pandemic. As remote work redefines urban landscapes, downtown Washington, D.C. stands at a crossroads. The future of this iconic area, deeply impacted by the shift in federal employment patterns, is ripe with both challenges and opportunities. One emerging idea is the repurposing of empty office buildings. Imagine these structures transformed into affordable housing, art spaces, or even green urban hubs. This shift could not only address the city's housing crisis, but also breathe new life into its streets. Revitalization might also come from reimagining public areas. Picture community events, open-air markets, and outdoor co-working spaces, tapping into a desire for connection and collaboration, despite the prevalence of remote work. The road ahead for downtown Washington, D.C. is uncharted, but filled with potential. As it adapts to this new era, it could set a precedent for cities globally, showing how urban centers can thrive amidst the transformative wave of remote work. We hope this video gave you a comprehensive understanding of downtown Washington, D.C.'s trouble with remote work. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth global economic content.